Hey guys, welcome back to the Dominion Table Talk. My name is Raina, and as we're waiting on one more person, we're just gonna introduce ourselves.
Hello, I'm Sunita. I'm 17 years old.
Hi, I'm Kiki. I'm 18 years old.
Hi, and I'm Tatiana, and I'm 19 years old.
All right, so if you guys remember, last month our topic was on love. This month, this episode is all about forgiveness. So we have about 6 questions that we as a collective came up with just to ask and talk about. And we're just gonna jump right on into it. Why do people not forgive? Does anyone have a response to that?
I think because of pride, um, not wanting the perception that forgiving someone is giving up something for the person who wronged you. Yeah.
Anyone else?
I think people don't forgive because sometimes they're just like grudges. I guess that plays into pride as well. Like grudges are such a huge thing because somebody could have done something really bad to you that you just like they should not be forgiven for this. So some people really just hold grudges like for a real long time and you just never get over what happened to them.
It could also be a level of maturity. If if you're not mature enough to be able to forgive somebody, because I don't know, maybe it could be something petty, or it could even be something that really held a lot of power. But if you're not mature, you're not going to be able to forgive and let go for yourself as well.
That is very important. To piggyback off that, with maturity, sometimes maybe the person don't know how to. Maybe they weren't really taught how to forgive or to accept forgiveness, and therefore they really are holding on to it. The next question is, what does forgiveness looks like to you personally?
It looks to me as like I would like for it to look like the way God forgives us, where we're able to confess what we did, maybe have a conversation about it, and then it's over. But because we're not like that spiritual being where we're able to like let go of the feelings. To me, it looks like being able to have a conversation with the person and figure out the best way to go forward and work on yourself as well, because I mean you can't really forgive them without having the conversation, or you can, but it adds more weight to it when you're able to talk about it.
For me, depending on the severity of what happened, if it's like a pretty big thing, I think it's a process. Especially if the person was really hurt by what happened, I think it's a process. Like Tatiana said, having a conversation about it, being able to talk about it, and personally not letting that thing have any hold over you anymore, like that situation, um, letting that go and not holding that against that person and not holding that in your heart. But like I said, depending on the severity, it can be a process, especially if you were hurt.
Yeah.
Forgiveness, to me, if you forgive somebody, like I don't know if like like to be free, like it feels free, because like when you don't forgive people, you're just holding all of that in, and feel like you would feel very miserable just not forgiving anybody and just yeah.
So to add on to that, it's not really part of the original questions, but since we're talking about it, how, if it feels free to you, do you need the person to ask for forgiveness before you forgive them?
You said, do you?
Do you need them to ask for forgiveness or admit that they're wrong before you forgive them?
I feel like
No, But like, no, you don't need to. You can forgive them on your own. But to be able to give that forgiveness to them, for them to feel freed from that situation as well, it only works if they ask.
I don't think so. I feel like, let's say somebody hurt you. Let's just make a hypothetical thing. Let's say Rena did something that really hurt me. I could say, you know what, God, I forgive her. I put the situation behind me. I'm going to move forward. I don't think you really need to talk to that person. You know what I mean? They know what they did wrong. You guys are in the situation together. So I don't think that they really need to say, hey, I did this, I did that. Can you forgive me? It's not, the forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you.
Right. Like, if I was to forgive someone, like, but the thing about, like, if you forgive them, would they have to come ask for forgiveness? Like, for me, it would have to depend on what they did. Because, like, say if you, like, did something, like, kind of stupid, I would forgive you because I understand people make mistakes sometimes. But if you did something, like, that you knew that what you were doing was wrong, and then you don't want to admit what
The
you did.
intent
Yeah,
behind it.
when you had, like, intentions to, like, actually make me feel some kind of way, I would have to actually, like, hear from you that you, like, I'm sorry, like, say, I'm sorry, will you, like, forgive me for this?
So I guess going back to what Sunil said is like the severity of it and the awareness that the person know. Because going back to your, if I didn't know I hurt you, or maybe to me it wasn't like a big deal, then how would I know to be sorry? Unless you tell me, hey, this was kind of messed up, and then, But what if in some cases the person does not acknowledge? They could be like, well, I'm already over it. Does it take longer?
To me, for me, that just seems like they really don't care about what they did. So it kind of would take longer because if you're saying, oh, I'm already over it, like they can take however time they need to take over it, like to get over it. Like I wouldn't have to get over it because like it was, not to get over it, but it was done to me like you said, what you said to me. I wouldn't want to get over it because I need you to like actually give me an apology so I can forgive.
I think in situations like that where it's something big, that's where I ask God for help. Like, okay, yeah, I feel hurt about this. I can't forgive this person on my own. Can you help give me the capacity to forgive this person?
I think that's very important because we all know what grudges does to us. Pride, like you have a sore place in your heart, even if you can talk to the person again. But if you don't truly fully forgive them to where if they need help, you would be running to help them, then personally, I don't think you've truly forgiven. I think you can let things go without forgiving, because forgiveness kind of, you have to fully be able to embrace the person. Now, when it comes into circumstances where the person borrow money from you and say, oh, I'm going to pay you, and now you're struggling because they never paid you. And you're like, okay, you know what, I will let that go, but I'm going to learn not to give you money again, right? So there are some circumstances where we can learn from it and say, I will let it go, I'm done with that situation, but I've learned my lesson.
I think your relationship versus forgiveness are two totally different things, because someone could like truly hurt you when you forgive them, but at the same time you're like, I don't want anything else to do with you, versus you actually talking about forgiving each other to move forward in your relationship. So I feel like the two are like similar, but at the same time there's a different aspect to it, because it really just depends on how far over the cliff it threw either of you.
Yeah, that is, especially when it comes to families and friends, siblings, parents, child, or even like best friends, right? If you still want to move on with that relationship. But personally, I feel like it's okay to not want to be friends or close with that person again. But if you think about God and his forgiveness with us, right? He doesn't say, oh, I forgive you for this, but our relationship is going to be different. He doesn't say, you did X, Y, and Z, QRS, all of that, so I will forgive you, but our relation, no, he said it doesn't matter what you've done, what you are doing, and what you will do. You are still welcome to come to me. I'm still going to embrace you. And if we're supposed to live accordingly or try to live like Christ, I think our main goal is to try to embrace, those who've hurt us. You can learn a lesson, but you know.
That reminds me of the verse Matthew 6:14. For if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. So using God as the model for our forgiveness, like you said, it's okay not to want to be in the same relationship with that person, but I think, well, for me personally, that should be a goal in forgiving someone, that I can think about this person and not hold that incident against them and still, be cordial and stuff like that with them.
I definitely agree with that. It is a process. It's like love, right? It's a process that we all have to kind of work with, and I don't think it needs to just be one of those like hard on things that happen to us. I think every time we need to forgive someone, we should go to God. We should go to Christ and say, I need help, because we can think we've forgiven someone. We think like, oh yeah, that was nothing. I'm over that situation. But then we end up living our life trying to avoid getting into situations like that. So then it's like, okay, But the third question kind of has to do with this. Can you embrace your enemies? And I know enemies, not to take it out of context, it's not like war enemy or anything. Enemies can just be about anyone that have hurt you, right? Anyone that have done harm to you intentionally and refuse to acknowledge that they've done you wrong or that they're sorry. Can you embrace them?
Yes, because even though they may have done me wrong or something, if they made a new accomplishment, of course congratulations, that's a huge thing. Not a lot of people can do what you did. So of course I'm gonna congratulate them when they come around, talk to them, ask them how they are, but it's not like I'm going to be all really friendly with you, or
so the relationship will
Yeah.
change, but you can still be in
Yeah.
their surroundings.
right.
Yes. Like I said earlier, it just goes back to that place of maturity. Because, of course it's going to be hard. We're human. Yeah, but I feel like I said earlier, you would get some benefit from embracing other people too. It might feel like shackles are being broken off, honestly, when you're able to embrace that person again.
For me, with the Lord's help, because I most definitely, if they're classified as an enemy to me, that's definitely, I would need the Lord's help for that, especially if there was a situation or something. But I do think it's possible, yes. It also depends on what you mean by embrace. To me, I would be able to show love to that person, but, help them out if needed, be cordial, stuff like that. But I wouldn't let them in my inner circle, if that makes sense. I'm not spilling all of my secrets to them. But yeah, I think it's possible, but I would definitely need the Lord's help in that situation.
So it kind of goes back to the whole like relationship changing a little bit, right? If someone used to be your best friend and they kind of did something that best friends shouldn't, but they still want to keep that relationship with you, and you're like, you know what, I do enjoy being around you. I'm gonna be around you, but I'm not gonna trust you with my secrets. I'm not gonna. So there's like different levels to embrace.
I think also, like I said, for me, forgiveness is a process. So I think also,
And guys, our last host has arrived. If you want to introduce yourself real quick.
What's up? I'm Lawrence.
All right, and we're just talking about forgiveness.
um, like how we said, to embrace that person, we would keep them on kind of like a surface level position. The relationship has changed. I think if we're forgiving, like God wants us to forgive, that can be like a starting point. We can keep them at that surface level until we feel like our emotions or our heart has mended enough to let them in a little bit closer, little by little, and watch and see how they're acting in the relationship, in the forgiveness process.
Hey, I don't know. I feel like maybe because, like Tati said, maturity, I'm at the level where it's like, if someone does something to me, I want to be able to think about them without thinking about what they did, right? I don't want no one to have the power over my emotions or how I live my life just because they've done wrong to me. So, in a way, it's like if I forgive you, not only am I releasing you, but I'm releasing myself and I'm taking that power back to say, I'm not gonna live the rest of my life in fear of someone hurting me like this again. It's okay. You did something. I didn't deserve it. And that is it. So, yeah, I would be able to embrace because I always think, what if it was me, right? What if I was the one who hurt someone, whether it was intentional or I didn't really mean to, but the hurt was like really bad and I wasn't aware of it? I want them to forgive me. I want them to be able to embrace me too because I wouldn't want no one's life to be tarnished over something that I did, right? So it's like, not only if you release someone, the Heavenly Father release you, but also you kind of put yourself in that position to say, if it was me, I want someone to kind of give me a second chance to be the friend again, or, you know.
Speaking of when you said second chances, I wanted to bring up Matthew 18:21 through 22. Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother and sister who sins against me? Up to 70 times, Jesus answered. I tell you, not 7 times, but 77 times.
Right. So it's like we as humans, like we want to protect ourselves, we want to protect our heart. We don't want to look stupid or foolish by falling into the same trap. So we do things that are gonna, you know, keep us safe from that. But I'm not saying like go ahead and trust the person again or tell all your secrets to, but I just think when it comes to embracing our enemies, it should be very much like God embracing us after we have sinned so many times.
You know, that reminds me of like Jesus, right? Like he knew people was gonna betray him over and over, and like even us with sin, he knows that how many times we're gonna sin in this lifetime. Yet he still fully embraces us as we are. That's awesome.
And since we just had Holy Week, right? Going back to when Christ was on the cross, one of the first things he said was, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. So, not saying that when people do wrong to us, they don't know what they're doing. Sometimes they do. But even in that moment, Christ was thinking about our forgiveness and our peace and our joy. And again, going back to, living like Him, we should aim to try to forgive people like that. Lawrence, I'm going to ask you the same question we were just talking about. Can you embrace your enemies or those who have wronged you?
When you say embrace them, what do you mean?
Like all levels. So can you, when you see them, can you say hi to them again? Can you, if it was your best friend, can you become friends with them if it's a parent or a sibling? Are you able to carry on the relationship you had with them even after they have wronged you to the point where you're like seriously upset?
Yeah, it's possible, but I mean, depending on the situation, I can see how hard it would be to embrace somebody that has, well, if you say your enemies, what I consider an enemy is somebody that has purposely gone against you to do something bad to you or have something bad happen to you. So that's what I consider an enemy, and I can see how hard that would be to look at that same person and I guess embrace them and still have a good relationship with them, knowing what they did to you or knowing what they tried to do to you. But yes, it's very possible if you have, if you have a good heart and you're at peace with yourself and you don't really care about that, then yeah, it's very possible. I think you just have to be at peace with yourself and not really worry about what happened.
Okay, good points. What if the person was your sibling or one of us that intentionally, like we knew was gonna hurt you, but we did it anyways? And you have to see us every Sunday or every time you come here.
Like, can I still?
Can you still, like, what would be the process? I think that's like the question, right? What would be the process for you to get back to that point where you guys used to before the thing happened?
Well, speaking personally, in the beginning, I'm probably not gonna embrace you. I'm probably not gonna speak to you. That's just me. But like you said, it's a process, and to start that process, it would have to be that person coming to me and expressing their apologies and expressing to me that whatever happened, the reason it happened, and I guess if they're sorry or whatever the situation is, that
What if they're not?
then why would I talk to you?
I'm trying to get to the point because, like, not everyone will be sorry. Like, what if they felt like they were entitled to it or they were hurt, therefore? Because, hurt people. So if they was like, oh, I was just doing what you were doing, or I just felt like I was right in that situation, so I'm not sorry for what I said. I'm sorry that you got hurt by what I said. So what if they're not sorry? But
I mean, if they feel that I did something to them, knowing me as a person, I'm going to apologize. But if that person's not sorry, then it's whatever. I'm not going to force that person to apologize to me. I'm just not going to acknowledge it. All relationships don't need to be mended again. You can go about your life and be at peace with yourself without that person.
right, you can do that while forgiving them, right?
At that point, I would be forgiving them for my well-being and not that
For
not,
your
for not
peace.
them, because like the verse earlier, I forgot which one it was, but if we want God to forgive us, we also need to extend that same forgiveness to others, right? So at that point, I'm forgiving you because God wants me to, and that's it. So, yeah.
I'm not forgiving you because
Or
yeah,
just when you say forgive them, just like I say, be at peace with myself, just for your own well-being, like so you don't have a headache on your hands. Like, you don't have to be worried about that person, but you can just forget about it. You know what I mean? So because having hate in your heart brings stress on you. So it's just whatever.
All right, well, good responses. Our fourth question is how, okay, so going back to someone or you asking for forgiveness, if you know you've done something wrong, how do you go about apologizing to the person, or are you quick or not so quick to?
What do you mean how you go about it? Like,
So, like, do you just be like, hey, yo, what if they don't tell you? What if they don't tell you, like,
I definitely, because I'm the type of person where I could just be talking and I not realize that I hurt you, just because I'm kind of blunt in the way that I say things. But if I realize that if I realize that the relationship isn't the right way, I might come up to you and say, "Hey, what happened?" Or like, "Did I do something to wrong you?" And then they'll usually tell you like what happened, and then you could be like, "Oh, I didn't mean it," or "You needed to hear that." Whatever happened, you can set the record straight. Like, you could tell when your friendship isn't the same, so it doesn't have to be like a rah-rah situation. It could be a conversation of like what happened, what went wrong, and do we even want to fix it, or do we just want to mind our business?
I would say like I would apologize pretty quickly because I think I remember one time my friend, she was like complaining that we like left a mess in her car, and I was joking. I was like, "Oh, just clean it, blah blah blah," and she actually got mad at me. I didn't think that I was being like, I didn't think she would think I was serious. But after I realized that she was upset, I apologized and told her that I know that her car is like something special to her. So of course I would apologize quickly because you never want to just make somebody's feelings feel like invalid.
I think it goes back to what Tati said before, maturity. If you are mature enough to the point where like you're aware when you've done something wrong and you know like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have said that, and they're acting different. Was that inconsiderate? It's okay to just be like, hey, I'm sorry if that came across the wrong way, but sometimes it's hard for us to be like, I'm sorry, right? Because when I was little, like high school, I remember I was in class and someone was like talking, and I just went off. I just went off, and my teacher was like, apologize. And my apology was, I'm sorry that you're stupid. Like, and I meant that. I wasn't sorry for like what I said. And the whole thing was like, I refuse to apologize if I'm not sorry, whether you got hurt by it or not, right? Like, I'm sorry, I guess you got hurt, but if I meant what I said, I'm not sorry. Take it out, you know? So that's why I don't say sorry unless I truly mean it, and that's why I don't speak unless I truly mean it. So it's all about maturity. I've grown into the person where it's like, if I tell you something, trust and believe whatever comes out my mouth, I mean, because I don't like saying sorry. I don't like hurting people's feelings, so I make sure what I said, I mean it. But it's all about how someone take your response sometimes, right? You can say in the nicest way, or you can say certain things that to you it may not be nothing, but to someone else it could be, you know, oh, that was kind of inconsiderate. So I think there's like two sides to it. You can be sorry for indirectly hurting someone, or you can actually be sorry for what you said.
I think for me, it depends on the situation and the person's response. Like, if I'm not sure where I went wrong, but I know that the relationship is different, I'll most definitely go and be like, hey, like Tatiana said, have a conversation about it. Like, hey, what's going on? Did I do something or stuff like that? But if I know where I messed up, of course I'll go and apologize, but I don't like conflict. So if I see that they're like really hot about it and kind of in a
You don't
really
like
bad
confrontation.
yes, confrontation, there we go. I'll wait until they calm down first and be like, hey, and kind of slowly approach the subject.
So, before I move on to the next letter, what if you're not sorry? So going back to what I said, what if you're just flat out not sorry? Like you said, if they need to hear it, but they're feeling some type of way, will you then take your time to explain to them, or just like be like, I'm not sorry?
For me, I'm not the type of person that's gonna say anything to hurt someone. If I say something that you might not have wanted to hear, it's probably something that you needed to hear, and I said it so that you can fix the issue. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, and I mean, I'll apologize for how I said it, but I'm not going to apologize for what I said. Because, of course, there's different ways that you can say something or do something. You just got to use that wisdom to be able to know how to go about the situation.
I also think it depends on how much you value that relationship. Because if you don't really care about it, you'd be like, well, deal with it. But if it's a relationship you really want to keep, you go out of your way to make sure they understood what your points were and why you said it.
I think that is important. Knowing the relationship, or knowing how like valuable the relationship of that person is to you. And to be honest, sometimes it's okay to just say, if you won't, what if the person, like, so if they don't accept your apology, and you're like, I'm sorry for how it came out, but I'm not taking my word back. Are you able to move on from that if they just won't like accept the fact that you're sorry that it hurt them, but you're not taking your words back? Are you able to say, like, you know what, if you don't want this friendship or relationship no more, it's okay? Because for me, it's like I'm staying true to myself, you know, and it is what it is.
I would say, yeah, I would be able to move on because, like, I mean, I told you how I feel. If I'm not gonna change, clearly, so.
Respectfully, we don't need to be friends. All right, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I hadn't fully formed my thought.
Okay. So our fifth question is, how does pride plays into forgiveness? And coming from either direction. So whether you're the one asking for forgiveness or the one who have to do the forgiving.
Because sometimes it will stop you from forgiving or asking for forgiveness, because if you feel like you were right, or you feel like your pride can probably make you feel like that person is getting the better of you or disrespecting you, or it just puts roadblocks in your mind or your emotions, and just makes you maybe not think clearly because you're thinking about
You're not gonna make me look stupid,
yeah,
or
yeah. So sometimes you just gotta put your pride to the side to be able to think clearly in order to accept or ask for forgiveness.
I definitely do think like it definitely stop us from accepting forgiveness, because it's like, if I accept this person's sorry, then that means I'm saying it's okay for them to do it again. No, keep your sorry. I've let it go, but have you really let it go?
I was just going to bring up a scripture. Proverbs 16:18 says, "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall."
It's definitely something people have to get over in order to have successful anything. Really, pride can get in the way of a lot of things, but especially effective communication and forgiveness and amending that relationship.
I think pride sometimes, okay, I don't think pride always come from such a bad place, right? I feel like when it's out, it's bad, but
There's a difference between pride and confidence.
yeah, I don't think it always comes from a bad place. I think if you're someone who are used, like, it's all about life experiences too. if you've been someone who's been hurt for a while or people have been taking advantage of you, it kind of makes it harder for you to accept someone's forgiveness, especially going back to the relationship you had with that person. If it was a tight friendship, a family, or an intimate relationship, it's kind of hard for you to like accept it. And it may come across as pride, but really you're still hurt and you need to heal before you forgive. I think it's something like we need to acknowledge, like, forgiveness is not quickly. It doesn't have to be, you know. In a perfect world, it would be. Doesn't matter what the person did. We would forgive them like that. But we have to know it's okay to take the time to process. It's okay to take the time to acknowledge what they did was wrong. You didn't deserve it. And maybe at the time, you don't think they deserve your forgiveness. But don't take too long now, because it ain't take God long to forgive you.
Yeah, one thing though, I feel like people always forget. I say try to be more like Christ, right? You gotta remember that you aren't Christ though. Like it's what we all know what we should be doing and how we should be going about certain things, but at the end of the day, you're human, and it's not like you're just human. So it's no way of actually having a perfect way about doing anything. You're not God.
Right, we're not gonna do it right. I think for those who are like believers and Christians, we kind of get a lot of like backlash when we don't do certain things right away. Oh, you're holding on to a grudge, or that is also on Christ. Like, yeah, we know, you know, like we get it, but we're not Christ, and we're all trying. We're humans, and we're all trying to, you know. And going back to what Sanita said, that's like the perfect time to be like, Jesus, take the wheel. Like, you know, I need you to help me understand and process this. And before I move on to the last one, I just want to say, like, sometimes certain hurts that happens in our life are meant to, right? God allows these things to happen. So one thing that I personally always do is ask God, how is this beneficial to me, right? If it's not, then I'm like, okay, so then I just need to let it go. But if there's certain healing or something that's going to come out of this hurt, that I need God to tell me, right? And that kind of helps me separate my emotions, like my spiritual side, than my human side, because, you know, if I'm supposed to benefit from it, then I need to know. And if I'm not, then what's the point of me holding on to it? All right, so our final question is, who does forgiveness benefit?
Everybody.
Everybody,
Me.
but me, more importantly, I'm worried about.
Most importantly me, because
I'm not trying to go to hell. So if you don't want to forgive me, that's okay. I'll deal with it. But I still love you, but I'm not going to hell for you. Hell is hot. I can't even sleep without the fan on, so I can't do it. Sorry.
Anyone else? So forgiveness benefits everyone, right? It benefits you because you want to be forgiven. So going back to that first question, which was, why do people not forgive? Is it because they don't know the benefits of it?
Like we said earlier, pride.
Yeah, I think-
also hurt.
I think they know the benefit, but the pride thing is like, oh no, I'm not gonna do this because I don't feel like they deserve it.
But if your if you know that, you know, unforgiveness stops you from going to hell, wouldn't you be quicker to forgive?
Yeah, pride obstructs your reasoning. That's why it's pride. Pride before the fall.
Okay. So, as, you know, Christians and believers, and even though we are humans, I think we should at least attempt to just focus on not focus, like it's hard, but the benefits of it. The more we think about the benefits of forgiving someone, the more we think about the benefits of spreading love, then it becomes easier. We can't just say, well, pride. Like, yeah, pride is there. So is so many other sins, but if you think about the benefits of not falling for that, then it kind of helps a little bit.
Yes, that's true. I think also people can focus too much on the hurt, especially if it was a close relationship. They're like, why would you ever do this to me? We used to be this and all of that. I think, like you said, focusing on the benefits can shift their focus away from that hurt and help them to forgive quicker.
I also think some people are afraid to heal from their hurt because healing means forgiven. Forgiving that person also means letting go. And unfortunately, today's society, if you let things go, you kind of look crazy or you're seen as someone who is foolish or just like being taken advantage of. And it's funny because like I think every one of us has fallen onto that, right? It's like how dare you? Like how are you so how are you so quick to forgive? Or how are you how are you so quick to forgive? Like I wouldn't even be able to let that go, you know? And I just think sometimes there's a power in there. You know, there's power in forgiveness, and there's power in being able to not allow hurt to change you. So I just want us to focus on that, focus on the benefits of it, focus on the benefits of love, forgiveness, and just understanding like you are humans at the same time, but you want to be superhumans.
Yeah. Um, I think this has been a good conversation, just to hear each other's input about forgiveness and get an understanding of why it is so important to forgive. If you don't forgive, there's no way that you can be forgiven, and that means you're condemned to hell. So it's something that we take lightly, but something that is so detrimental to our faith and to our lives and to the rest of our eternity. So,
What about those who say like, I forgive, but I don't forget?
I mean, honestly, you can't forget how people will treat you. Like you can't allow yourself to be a punching bag. It's not healthy. So yes, forgive and continue to embrace that person, but remember not to get burned twice. You fool me one time, shame's on you.
Shame on
Shame on you.
Fool me twice.
shame
Can't
on
get
me.
pulled.
There will be no number two.
I think the thing with that is like, no, you're not supposed to forget how someone treats you. That'd be kind of dumb to just like erase that
Right.
from your mind, especially if you have a relationship with that person. But I think the thing is not to hold on to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, not to hold them captive or yourself. Because if you're like, watch out for that person, you know, then you're in a way still holding yourself captive of unforgiveness. All right, that's all the time we have today. I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. We will see you guys next month for episode 3. Bye.
Peace out.